welcome back to Clubhouse Talk. I am Sean Ferguson. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you like this video and the others that I have on my channel, please like and subscribe. The video that I wanted to do today was a little bit of a recap of the 2024 MLB trade deadline that was. Eli Shelton and myself did a video a few days ago on deadline day, kind of talking about what we thought might happen, what could happen, what should happen. And this video is a little bit of a recap of that in a way. And for this, I wanted to do my top 3 studs of the deadline and my top 3 duds of the deadline. And it's a little self-explanatory. Studs, of course, are the 3 teams that went above and beyond everyone else to improve their team and gave them a great opportunity come October, or when rebuilding process does begin, as these are not just buyers. Sellers are on this list as well. In the dud list, same thing. Teams that should have done more when it comes to selling and buying. So without further ado, let's get into it. And I do want to start on the dud side. So let's get started. Number 3, I am biased, and I've seen this go both ways, but the Baltimore Orioles are number 3 when it comes to duds. The number 3 dud of the 2024 MLB trade deadline. A lot of people go back and forth on this one, but I am a massive fan of them and see this deadline as a dud. They overpaid big time for Trevor Rogers, who was 2-9 with a 4.53 ERA this year in Miami. You could have gotten a far much greater talent than Rogers with Norby in the mix. I'm not a fan of what they gave up for the guy who hasn't really been solid since 2021. The rest of the moves were very underwhelming as well. 2 relievers from Philly that have high ERAs, and Gregory Soto, who has a 4.03, and Sir Anthony Dominguez, who has a 4.38 this year, and other talent that may have been former All-Stars or top prospects, but haven't had a good last couple of years. It gives me Aaron Hicks vibes. Hicks was awful with the Yankees after being great for a few seasons. The Orioles bring him in hoping he will return to his old form, and he did. But it feels like the Orioles are trying to recreate that with a handful of guys here. It could totally happen, but the Orioles deadline right now is a dud to me. Not the worst, but top 3. Number 2 dud of the deadline goes to the Minnesota Twins. Why, you ask? Because this is all they did. The Twins are 59-48 and are not only firmly in the fight for an AL wildcard spot, but are only 6 games back from the Guardians for first in the Central. They have been one of the hottest teams since June, and you would have expected them to keep pace with other teams around them. Trevor Richards is an upgrade, but not by a lot, and I respect a team for believing what they have. When all other teams are improving their teams around you with added depth, you typically should do the same. We will see if the Twins are able to keep up their hot stretch or if they start to fade when October nears. It would have been nice to see a few more additions here to make them deeper, but this deadline puts the Twins at number 2 on my dud list. And the number 1 dud of the 2024 MLB trade deadline, unfortunately, goes to the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox are on pace for one of the worst seasons in MLB history. They have a few big names on the roster that could yield some big returns. They were able to unload Eric Fetty, Michael Kopech, and Tommy Pham. Those 3 should bring in a nice prospect haul, which for the Sox is what you want. Those 3 names, though, only brought in Miguel Vargas and 3 prospects that are pretty mid-tier among the farm system ranks. They were also unable to trade Roberts or Crochet that could have went a long way for the inevitable rebuild that is set for this club. The lack of return on their bigger names and inability to trade pieces that could only help hurts the White Sox even more in the long run. It is sad to put the White Sox here because of how awful this team is this year. And you thought the trade deadline could only help, but it was the opposite for Chicago. And unfortunately, the White Sox are my number 1 dud for the 2024 MLB trade deadline. And those are your 3 duds. Let's see the 3 studs. Number 3 stud goes to the San Diego Padres. I am cheating a little bit on this one. The Padres did make a good move at the deadline. They trade for Martin Perez, which is a solid one and will help this club as it continues to play great baseball. But the trades they made earlier in the year were absolutely amazing for this team also. I know this is a list for the deadline, but the trades for Luis Reyes and Dylan Cease cannot be overlooked. Those moves were terrific for a team that couldn't live up to expectations the last couple seasons and were looked on as a massive disappointment. After Soto was sent to the Yankees, you didn't really know what direction the Padres would go, but Arraez and Cease have been massive difference makers for the club, and Perez will only help in the long run. So the Padres get the number 3 stud deadline. Number 2 stud, believe it or not, it's going to go to the Miami Marlins. They're for sure not having as bad a season as the White Sox, but this is not a playoff year for Miami. So it was time to sell and build for the future like the White Sox should have done. The Marlins made some terrific moves that have truly bolstered their farm system. The Marlins were able to add 5 prospects that were all now in the top 10 of the Marlins farm system, with a few in the pipeline top 100 prospects. The move alone to trade Trevor Rogers to the Orioles for Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers was a terrific one for them. They have 2 prospects now that are already MLB ready in my mind and can make a difference for a ball club. The present is great for Miami, but the future looks a whole lot better after this promising deadline. The Marlins get the number 2 stud deadline. And the number 1 stud for the 2024 MLB trade deadline, it is going to go to the Philadelphia Phillies. It's hard not to put them number 1 here. The Phillies did what I wish the Orioles did at the deadline. They were extremely aggressive with their farm system and added talent that could help this ball club win the World Series this season. Especially for a team that is struggling right now, these trades will be an added boost for sure. Estevez and Banks will be difference makers quickly for the team. And Austin Hayes was a sneaky good move. They add an outfielder who was an all-star last season and since coming back from injury this year has been raking. He is a top batter against lefties and a bat the Phillies really needed. I was very sad to see him go as an Orioles fan because he is such a pure hitter, and it was hard to see him go to another contender. The Phillies know what they needed and traded their farm system for it. Whatever it takes to win a title, and the Phillies are all in. Once the Phillies get out of the funk they are currently in, they will be hard to beat. The Phillies by far get the number 1 stud of the 2024 MLB trade deadline. Other teams made some good moves, but to me, these were the top 3 teams. And again, it was hard to look past the 3 duds. Again, you can move the Twins and Orioles around a little bit, and even the White Sox for that matter. But from everything I've seen and everything I looked over, that's where my list firmly stands. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave comments. Tell me where you would have put some of these teams, if you would have taken one out, put them in a different spot, or if you would have just added teams in completely differently than me. I'm sure you did. We all have our difference in opinions, and that's what makes baseball so much fun and sports fun in general. But again, if you like this video, please like, please subscribe, and I'll be posting 2 more videos next week, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the comments. And again, this was Clubhouse Talk. I'm Sean Ferguson, and I'll see you next time.